Hello everybody, welcome to another Build Fly Go video. This is the return trip from Windsor, Ontario, and from last weekend, Canada back to the US. Here I am on my first leg. I did Detroit City Airport, Kilo Delta Echo Tango as the airport of entry in the US. So we do a very short, it's 8 miles I believe, flight between the two. I'm talking to the tower or clearance at Windsor Airport here, and they gave me a departure procedure which I couldn't find. I think it was like the Windsor 7 or something like that. I don't remember what it was called, but I couldn't find the departure procedure, so I'm like searching in the paperwork on the screen there to sort it out. And it turns out that the departure procedure didn't have a graphical procedure, which is why I was confused. And it's just climb 3000 heading 070. That's the departure procedure, which was hilarious because I'm talking to the guy and I was like, wait, is this the departure? You gave me a departure procedure and the departure procedure is just climb straight ahead. And he's like, yes, that's what I gave you. So we just crossed the Detroit River here. We're now over the U.S. and talking to Detroit Approach to get set up for flying into Detroit City Airport. I think it was like a 10-minute flight at most, and here it is. It was fairly gusty, but an easy flight, big runways, and we'll come up here and you may see the customs, CBP folks scanning the airplane. Yeah, they just zoom by there, scanning the airplane to, I don't know what they're looking for. They just showed up and, yep, there they are, and asked for my passport, and that was that. I got some fuel here. They were very nice. Don't remember what the FBO was called, but they were nice. And we're setting up to go back to Madison. We filed IFR again because the weather is sort of iffy in the Midwest. You'll notice that it goes from iffy to oh crap pretty quickly. And filed IFR. It was the filed was Madison to CHIPR to the CHIPR intersection. Sorry, Windsor to the CHIPR intersection to Madison. The clearance delivery just told me as filed, so we're doing as filed. So Madison to CHIPR to Windsor to CHIPR to Madison. The Detroit controllers were awesome. They put me right through, like I flew over the Detroit airport. They're apparently not terribly busy, which worked out for me. Coming up, I'm going to accelerate the video as we get through sort of the boring parts. We're still over the Detroit area here, but we'll quickly get to some of the boring parts over the country. So I'll accelerate the video, and then we'll slow down as we start approaching the lake and Lake Michigan. Sort of we go around the bottom, and you'll see why. You can see me using my Garmin InReach there. I'm just sending my Ms. Build Fly Go a text message to let her know what's up. Okay, so here we are, and you'll notice that there's some weather up ahead. That weather is directly over the route of flight, and it is red and orange and yellow and nasty. So I'm talking to Center right now to try and sort out what are we going to do when we get there, right? Like, what is this looking like? And as we get closer, it's getting worse and worse, and Center very clearly understands that we're not going to be flying through this, so they're trying to get me options, and we're talking through stuff. And you can see me on my phone. I'm looking at different weather and different projections and different ideas. So what we decide is we're going to fly to Chicago Executive Airport. It looks like I can make it there before the weather gets there. And I'm just going to button down for a little bit until the weather passes over. You can see I'm picking up all the frequencies. I'm looking at all of my options over there on the screen, and I've got the weather display. Yeah, I'm looking at the weather and going, can I get in there before this happens? Right? It's getting more and more nasty and orange as we get there. But I'm talking to Chicago Approach now. I'm under the shelf, and they're talking ahead to executive, and executive says there's no rain, they're fine, I've got time, and I can make it. So we decide this is what we're gonna do. Worst comes to worst, I'm gonna get wet. It's not a big deal. I just don't want to be in crazy turbulence that usually comes with sort of the oranges and yellows over there. Not so much the yellows, but mostly the oranges get a bit of turbulence. So I am on. I cancel IFR back there because Chicago does not want you IFR under the shelf, and Chicago won't let IFR traffic that is not going to Chicago to O'Hare go through the Bravo. So I cancel IFR. We're VFR. We're maintaining VFR, and we're just getting ready to go into Chicago Executive. Um, and here we are. We're up on the sort of the edge of the eastern side of the lake, and you can see how there isn't like the weather radar is showing basically that it must be raining here. It's not. I'm lucky. It's not, but the weather radar is showing it should be raining here. So I'm just setting myself up for landing there at Chicago Executive. All of the controllers were incredibly helpful in just getting us in, right? Like helping us figure out what the best options were. At no point were we in danger here. We're just trying to figure out what the best option is. I spent about an hour at Chicago Executive at the Signature FBO. They were really nice. They were going to get me fuel, and then it started to rain pretty hard, and we're like, no, hold off. I've got enough fuel. We're fine. Let's not worry about that. And this is what it looks like. So I'm the dot sort of on the left there, and the reds and yellows have passed. But more importantly, I can look up, and there's some clouds, but there's sky, there's sun, so we're going to go. I filed IFR for this departure, but I did not pick up my clearance. I told them I wanted to take off VFR so that we could exit the Chicago Bravo in a sane manner. If I had done this IFR from takeoff, they would have given me a full route clearance with like 8 different fixes to get me, through the airspace in a manner that they're used to for FR traffic, and that's not really necessary here. It was very clear. It was very VFR. So the plan was take off, and once I'm outside the airspace, outside of the shelf, the Bravo shelf, I'm already talking to ATC anyway. At that point, I'll activate. And ATC, when Tower transferred me to Chicago Approach asked me if that was what I was doing because I had a filed flight plan, and I said, "Yep, absolutely." And he said, "Great, okay, that helps us. Thank you." So I believe at this point, we're set up. I'm looking at the approaches at Madison, what my options are going to be, and they might have already handed me to Madison at this point. Madison is a bit gusty, but not bad, and they're setting me up for. They asked if I do the ILS 1.8, and honestly, I usually prefer the RNAV. So I just said I'll do the RNAV 1.8, and they were fine with that. The minimums are the same for both, and I think the profile and the fixes are pretty much all the same. It's just use ILS versus using GPS. So one thing that I haven't mentioned yet is once I got in the clouds, it got bumpy, like bumpy. I'm talking to the controllers in Madison, and I'm like, okay, so it's bumpy to the point where I'm going to slow down like nuts. You can see me messing with the throttle here. So I slow down to VA, which is about 100 knots in this airplane, and I'm telling them I'm going to do this once, and I'm not going to come back and do this again if I have to go miss for whatever reason. I'm just going to go to Janesville because it's way too bumpy. They called ahead. An airplane ahead of me said that it was bumpy to about 300 feet above touchdown, and sure enough, that's what it was. It was like 300 feet above. It smoothed out, and it was perfect. And you could see there before it opened up pretty quickly. It wasn't a big deal. But yeah, this was a great flight back. Lots of changes and adventure and excitement. And yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. It really helps. And more videos to come. Have a great day.